Hello, it's Ashley with At Home with Ashley. This week we're going to do some wainscoting that's very cool. Not just your average wainscoting. So in our playroom, there's a wall that's just drywall, and it's so boring to me. I've always felt like it looked unfinished over there, and then inspiration struck. I was looking at a book and I saw their wainscoting in the entry, and it had these cool arches, and it's just board and batten wainscoting, but it's really elevated by the arch, and I don't think it looks that hard. So we're going to figure out how to do it together. Besides adding some architectural interest in my house, I'm excited about the arches because I think it'll bring in this travel theme that I love to add in the rooms where it's not super obvious, but I definitely take some inspiration from where I travel. I also really like that it's going to be different than anything else I have in my house. Now, if you want to do this too, the first thing you need to do is put up a chair molding if you don't have one up yet. So you need to decide on the height. The most common height is 32 inches. If you have tall ceilings, you might want to go higher up, and you want to do the bottom third of the room. My chair railing is where the slope of the ceiling hits the wall, so it's really natural, and we're going to start with that and start putting up the board and batten. This is the easiest part of the project because all you're going to do is you're going to do 90-degree angle cuts, and you're going to put a plain board at the top of where your chair rail hits and at the bottom where your baseboards hit. If you wanted to, you could use this for your chair rail and you don't even have to buy any extra trim. You could also use it for your baseboards, but since I already had those up, we're adding these to it. You also really need to decide how wide your boxes are going to be, so make sure to measure your whole wall and divide it equally so you don't have like some bigger boxes and some smaller boxes. So we did that, and then we started putting up the vertical pieces. So we had one on either side of the wall and then a piece to make each rectangle. So this starts off the wall really nicely, and it's where we're going to stop for today, but tomorrow we're going to add arches, so that's going to be exciting. Today, the big activity is we need to add arches to the board and batten to make it look not just like the boring rectangles, but give it some personality. And we honestly thought about like 10 different ways to do this. Buy onlays from the store, buy corbels. One didn't get the right look, one was too thick. Use a router to cut it out, but we're not great with the router, so what we decided to do was to trace a corbel that's from the store onto a baseboard piece of trim. And the baseboard piece of trim is the same thickness as the board and batten pieces we used, which is very important so it looks good. And then we're cutting it out with a jigsaw, so you have to go really slow, and not every single one is going to look the exact same because you're doing this by hand. It's bespoke, which is also exciting. Cool to add something handmade to your walls. For our wall, we had to cut out 14 of these arches, and then all it was taking it to the wall and nailing it on, which goes really fast, and all of a sudden you can see how good it's going to look, which is very exciting. Today we are finishing our DIY arch wainscoting. Another thing I want to do in here is I have this little table, and I redid it. It's an IKEA table, but I don't actually like it. So I had this idea when I was doing my frames last week, is that on top of the trim that's there, I am adding these split wood balls, and they go on pretty quickly. I'm just using tacky glue to attach them. I tried wood glue and it wasn't holding it up. And then after the glue dried, I just gave it some coats of paint of the same color, and it just like upgraded it enough that I'm like, oh, this is interesting. And before I was just like, it kind of fell flat. I also changed out the hardware, something I bought at the antique shop, so that's looking better. And then for the wainscoting, all we had to do was really caulk, wood filler, sand, and I say this like it was easy, but it took a while. And then we painted it the same color as the walls, and I think you could have fun with different colors, but this was definitely the easiest way because you didn't have to cut in or anything because everything's the same color. And for this color, I'm using Teresa's Green by Farrow and Ball, the same color we had before. And all that can mean is that it's time for the reveal. Really love how this turned out in the playroom. The arches really break up all that drywall and add some interest and dimension to this space. The curved details are kind of soft and elegant feeling, and they were custom built, and they do look that way, I think. So one of my things about this project is that it's more Moroccan-inspired, and I am going there in like less than a month, maybe a little bit more than a month, but I am so excited, and it kind of brings that vibe into my house. For this project, I spent about $64 on the materials, which I don't think is super bad, and like I said, I really love it. If you have any questions about this project, please let me know in the comments. If you like this video, please make sure to give it a thumbs up, and if you're not already, please subscribe.